genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one thinks countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one thinks countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Rock the Boat right here on UCY.TV. I'm your host for the next hour, and it is 29th of March, and I still got snow in my frickin' yard. And it's supposed to snow, I think, Easter Sunday, maybe. Beware of the global warming crew. The Cult from Hell. And anyways, I got a story here. I got a couple of stories here. And this one should hopefully wake some people up. I don't know if it will or not. You know, all the sustainability, all this, I mean, everything's based on sustainability, isn't it? And, which is a huge, huge, huge fraud. And I don't know why people have such a hard time understanding the fraud, but they seem to. It's, and I think it's based on the idea that the majority of the population has been kept in the child position and childlike mind state their entire lives, regardless of how old they are. Well, you know, if you're probably 80 or 90 plus, you may have missed out on the indoctrination through the public schools. It's the only reason the public schools were set up was to push agendas, rewrite history, and more importantly, keep everyone in a childlike state. You know, after so many years in the school system of these false authorities called your teachers and your principals and that, and have spent all those years regulating the way you operate and always bowing down to their authority. I've always had a problem with that because even in kindergarten, you know, I had a problem real quick. You know, I'm 5 years old, minding my own business, enjoying my life, enjoying my family, thinking things through for myself, working on things. Yeah, 5 years old, yeah. And then I got thrown into the public school system. And all of a sudden, people I don't know are telling me what I can and can't do. And I found that rather ridiculous. I remember telling my great kindergarten teacher that, like, who the hell do you think you are to tell me what I can and can't do? Because you're not my parents. But the whole idea is to turn the state into your parents. And that you will obey the state at all times. Now, as we went through history here, we've gotten to the point now where if I want to go up a ladder, I have to get I have to take a course on how to climb up a frickin' ladder. Like it's some kind of new item that was never existed before. And if I don't have a ticket or a permit and haven't paid the state money to teach me how to go up a ladder, well, then I'd be in trouble. So I have to be in fear. So I have to take the course and I have to pay the money because, well, I'm in the child position. I'm just a child and they're the authority. And that's the main purpose of the public school system, is to get you to remain in the child position and always bow to authority. Never question authority. And that's why we are where we are today. Nobody knows how to say no. Now, I don't know if I was a strange kid or a different kid or what, but I always ask questions and I expect answers. And when the teachers don't answer the questions, I got to question who these teachers are. By the time we're in, I don't know, probably grade 5, we decided that we would be the ones that decided who our teachers were going to be. So when our teachers, each new year, we would assess the teachers. And if we felt the teachers weren't capable of teaching, which an awful pile of them weren't, but then you got to remember they came through the same stupid system. And now they're teaching you. And they bow to authority. So whatever the authority tells them to teach, regardless if it's right or it's wrong, they teach it. Whether it's moral or amoral, they teach it. And you're supposed to bow down and accept what they're teaching. Now, we ran many teachers out of the schools. We would make an assessment. We'd give them a couple, 3 weeks. And if we decided they weren't capable of teaching, we'd run them out. We had many teachers break down crying in the class. Now, we weren't picking on them per se, but we had to make an assessment that they weren't capable of teaching, so they had no business being in the classroom. I mean, we're stuck in the classroom. What the hell are we doing listening to you? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You ain't bright enough to be a teacher. And we'd run them out. I remember we had one teacher there wanted to take on the whole class in about probably grade 6 or 7. Had a complete breakdown right in the classroom. Never seen him again. But he wasn't capable of teaching, so we just thought we'd help the man out. It's no different than when I hire someone. If someone I hire is not capable of doing the job, I just explain it to them. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're here for the next 30 years. You ain't never going to be any good at this. So I'm not being nasty to you. I'm just saying go find something else to do that you're capable of doing. And that's what we did with our teachers. And it's gotten really ridiculous now with these curriculum and that they're teaching the kids. And you have a duty, really you do have a duty to get your kids the hell out of there. Now, I've talked to parents that who were upset, and they went to the school board to speak to the school board to explain their problems they were having. And what kills me is most of these people I've talked to that have went to confront the school board, again, when they go in there, they're going into a place of authority. When I listen to some of the stories from some of the parents, you can tell that they're still in the child position, because the school board people rip the shit out of them, tell them they don't know what they're talking about. We're the experts. We're the teachers. Go back home and suck your thumb. And that's what I get from these parents. But that's because they're still in the child position. They see these authorities as a parent, as an authoritarian figure. And they've been well trained to bow down to it. And that most definitely has to change. But this story here really is, this really shines some light. And this is another story from the Communist Broadcasting Corporation of Canada. And while I hate CBC with a passion, and while I hate mainstream media with a passion, these stories are getting so outlandish and ridiculous. If you know what you're reading, then these are actually a good source of information. Now, this is a story I didn't know about, but it makes sense. And it doesn't make any sense. And the headline, this is in Technology and Science. And this is the headline. Canadian municipalities struggling to find a place for recyclables after China restricts foreign waste. Now, why would our municipalities be struggling to find a place for recyclables? Canada is the second largest landmass country on the planet. We have the smallest population on the planet per square mile or per square kilometer. We got more resources per capita than anybody else on the planet. We're the richest nation on the planet, bar none. Simple as that. But we can't seem to figure out how to get rid of our recyclables. Now, China, which is just slightly smaller, I think, than the United States, with a population, let's see, 1.2 billion or whatever. Canada has a population of about 36 million people, a large suburb, I guess, in China. Yet, we don't know how to deal with our recyclables. Now, you were told you need to recycle. So they made little plastic recycle bins to put your recyclables in. And you put them out at the curb, and then the recycle truck comes along. And then shipped to China on a boat, on a cargo ship that spews out tons upon tons upon tons of exhaust. More pollution for the atmosphere. So on the one hand, your municipalities are forcing you to recycle, and then they bundle up the recyclables and send them off to China, where China recycles them and turns them into more plastic to encase the Chinese products that they're shipping back here, which is more and more and more and more pollution And then we go buy these Chinese products, and then we peel the plastic off of the products. And then we take that and we put it out at the road in the plastic recyclable bins, which is picked up by a truck and then taken and bundled up and shipped off to China. Again, and your municipalities, your provinces, your country can't stop encouraging you enough to recycle. Now, I didn't know that all these so-called recyclables were being shipped off to China. Just like all our manufacturing was shipped off to China. So you got these ships running back and forth, puking out the nonsense, puking out the pollution, of which we are supposed to be so careful about. We're supposed to care about our carbon footprint. And the amount of pollution coming out of these ships back and forth and back and forth is way more than you're ever going to cause. Now, here in Ontario and many other locations, we've shut down all our coal plants because, well, coal is bad. But yet we ship our recyclables to China, who built 500 coal plants with no scrubbers, just puking out this so-called greenhouse global gases and shipping the... So, you know, the ocean is supposedly has this huge sea of plastic floating around out there. I saw an article a week or so ago that the experts, the scientists, have now reassessed the size of the plastic lake, or whatever you want to call it, out in the ocean. And it's actually, I think they said it was 12 times larger than they thought. Well, that tells you how accurate science is. It's a load of crap. So how did all this plastic get in the ocean? Are they pitching it off the boats on the way to China? I mean, you can't, I think it was 12, I forget how many square miles it was. But where'd all this plastic come from? Now, China is a big player in the takedown of the West. Always has been. And that all came, again, from the tax-exempt foundations, in particular Rockefeller Foundation, who got the one-child thing implemented over in China with the help of Morris Strong and all the rest of these so-called environmental people. It's just one humongous scam. And better come to terms with it. Now, we'll go through this story, and it says that cities that have found new markets are keeping mum about where they are for fear of being outbid. Now, remember, there's only 36 million people living in the second largest landmass country in the world. That's Canada. And we can't figure out what to do with recyclables. Now, if that doesn't tell you how inept your so-called governments are, I don't know what will. I have no idea what will. But this is, again, a problem. See? Problem, reaction, solution. Now, China, apparently, is restricting now recyclables. So, Colchester County, Nova Scotia, used to send all its film plastics to China, but since China's new restriction on recyclables, the country has, or the county has stockpiled 450 tons, including hundreds of bales it keeps outside. Now, I guess I don't have a TV, so, but according to this, there's actually a series on TV, on CBC, on the Communist Broadcasting Corporation, of which you pay for through your taxes. And everybody that works at the CBC and all their retirement funds, you pay for. As Carlin would say, not too effing bright, folks. So anyways, we got Reduce, Reuse, and Rethink is a CBC news series about recycling. We're exploring why our communities are at a turning point and how we can recycle better. You can be part of the conversation by joining our Facebook group. Now, the conversation, again, is the same as suggestion. It is to hypnotize you into believing you're a dancing chicken, or whatever the hypnotist wants you to believe, i.e. that global warming is real. And all the rest of the crap they shove down your way. China's new rules that ban or seriously restrict foreign waste have Canadian municipalities struggling to find places to ship their recyclables. It's a big problem, but we're actively seeking solutions, said Wayne Warmbold, Director of Solid Waste for Colchester County in Nova Scotia. The county's material recovery facility in the community of Kemptown brings in more than 10,000 tons of recyclables a year and sends 40% of that to China. At least it used to. The latest Stats Canada data shows that in 2013 and 2014, Canadians diverted more than 9 million tons of material from landfills, although that doesn't include all the materials recycled by Canadians, for example, through bottle programs, or if grocery stores send boxes directly to a recycler. Half the world's recyclables were being sent to China, but that changed when China decided to crack down on foreign waste last year. Although the ban didn't take full effect until December 31st, 2017, many Chinese companies stopped accepting foreign recycling materials months earlier, leaving some Canadian cities with stockpiles of flattened cardboard and crushed plastic without anywhere to send it. Now that does show you how pathetic a country this really has turned into. We can't figure out how to deal with cardboard unless we put it on a ship and send it to China. That's really pathetic. David Bildman, Executive Director of Solid Waste Association of North America, says China, the world's largest manufacturer, has a growing middle class and generates its own recyclables in a greater quantity than 10 years ago, meaning it is less reliant on imported material. Now, China is the world's largest manufacturer, and we now manufacture nothing. There was a time when we manufactured most of what we required in this country. There was very little imports. Why would we be importing stuff when we have more natural resources per capita than anywhere else on the planet? We have more source of energy than anywhere else per capita on the planet. And where we used to design, engineer, and build most of what we needed, and when we built it, it was built for long-term use. We can't even figure out what to do with cardboard now. All of our manufacturing has been sucked out of our country and sent to China. Same as America. We manufacture nothing. If you can't manufacture what you require, you can't grow the food your population requires, then you have no right to call yourself a country. None whatsoever. Now there's another problem. China apparently has been receiving some material that wasn't good quality. Now I'm thinking that's probably what's floating around in the ocean. There's a lot of garbage mixed up occasionally with those bales of plastic, paper, and metal that are going over to China. Bilderman said in an interview with CBC in his office in Silver Springs, where's MD? Wherever. And so China is interested in stopping it from becoming the dumping ground for Western material. This is all again about taking down the West. This year, some North American material has started moving elsewhere, mostly to emerging markets in Asia, but at lower prices, meaning lost revenue for Canadian municipalities. So now it's a revenue stream. We used to manufacture stuff here, which was a good, solid revenue stream where generations and generations of people would work for the same company, but those don't exist anymore. So now China is closing down some of its recycling, and or not taking as much. So now it's going to the lower countries that are even in worse condition, the third world countries, but at lower prices, meaning lost revenue for Canadian municipalities. So they're not telling you to recycle because they give a damn about anything other than a revenue stream, of which they were told if you fire up a recycling system in Canada and sell it at the municipal level, then you'll be able to ship the recyclables to China and make some money somehow. The remaining problem for many is film plastics that are an item such as plastic shopping bags, bread bags, and the wrapping on toilet paper. Colchester County was sending 100% of its film plastics to China, amounting to around 600 tons a year. It is now stockpiled 450 tons and has to store hundreds of bales outside. There's a concern the material could degrade so that it could no longer be recycled. If that happens, Warmbold says, there will be no other choice but to bury it in a landfill. We certainly don't want to be putting material in the landfill, he said. This is all a big problem now, right? So we need a solution. Nova Scotia is the only province in Canada in which it's illegal to dump plastics in a landfill. So if it comes to that, Colchester would have to ask the province for a special permit. Halifax, which was shipping 80% of its recyclables to China, has already requested and received such a permit, but has since found new markets for its material. In a sign of just how cutthroat the recycling business has become, the city managers of solid waste won't say where those markets are. If Halifax ships 100,000 or 1,000 tons to one facility, if that name gets out, another municipality might call and say, we'll pay you an extra $200 or $2 a ton to take our material. And then Halifax has nowhere to put their material, said Matt Keller. This is a huge problem. Meanwhile, the Halifax councillor is calling for the province to impose a plastic bag ban. So we have a problem. China doesn't want the plastic bags. So we have a problem. So now the story is basically part of the reaction and to put forward the solution. And the solution seems to be impose a plastic bag ban. Montreal's recently done it. Victoria's done it. Boston just recently did it. Therefore, the word is, I guess, that the entire world should do it. It's how they sell it. Just like we should be just like Montreal. We should be just like Victoria and Boston. Did the same thing with the windmills. Did the same thing with the upgrading of your sewer and water systems, which are only being upgraded because you're paying for it. So when the international companies come in to buy them up, they don't have to spend any money on them. There are actually whole countries, Costa Rica, thinking of doing a countrywide ban, said Tony Mancini. Ooh. These challenges mean the British Columbia model is becoming increasingly attractive. Under the program, which began in 2014 and is common in Europe, plastics are processed in the province and producers pay. Retailers, manufacturers, quick service restaurants, and others actually have to pay for the package and they put in the residential system. So they pay fees to Recycle BC, and we use that to run a province-wide system, explained Alan Langdon, Managing Director of Recycle BC. This means China's decisions is not an issue for BC, at least not when it comes to plastics. BC has found new markets for its paper, but the revenue loss is significant. Langdon says last year, Recycle BC was receiving roughly $80 a ton for mixed paper, as opposed to today when the market price is zero. It's unclear how long it will stay at that level. Well, it will stay at that level until BC Recycle or the BC government or any other government in any other country decides, well, this is costing the municipalities money, and therefore, we must increase the cost of your garbage pickup, your dumpage fees, your recycling fees, and so on and so forth. This is all about taxing your ass into the ground. Okay? This is about the takedown of your nation. Let's see here. We'll get through this. China is still accepting some paper, but as of March 1, it has to be much cleaner than before, with a contamination rate of no more than 0.5%. And Bilderman said that change will come at a cost. And the only place they can get the money is out of your freaking pocket. Okay? So this is a scam. Now you'd kind of ask yourself, well, wait a minute, if we're so concerned about the environment, why are we filling up these ships with recyclable plastics and that and shipping it all the freaking way to China? I forget what amount of pollution comes out of a ship going from here to China and back, but the numbers I've seen is it's quite considerable. How many vehicles on the road would it take to produce the same amount of pollution? A lot of them. A very, very large number. But these people that are sending this stuff, these municipalities are sending this stuff to China, don't seem to take that into consideration. So when you shut down the China market, we got no market, and that's costing us more. And who's going to pay for it? Well, you are. Simple as that. Let's see. Bidman says that change will come at a cost. It is possible to do that, but it takes a serious investment. He said, increase the cost, and I think ultimately Canadians and Americans are likely to pay more for recycling in the future as a result of this activity. In other words, they're getting in your pocket. But you'd wonder why North America in particular would even consider sending any recyclables to China. I mean, we shut down all our coal plants in this country. Yet China, while we're shutting down and we had very few coal plants in Canada, at the very same time, China's building 500 coal plants. Australia shut down their coal plants and then cut a deal. I think it was New South Wales, which is a coal producer. There's no market for their coal now. So, of course, the global price on coal goes down. And that makes it less expensive for China to fuel their coal plants to manufacture the products that we use, that they ship to us in plastic. So the whole everything that's going on is a scam, and this is just one more scam. Now, some related stories here. China looks to turn ban on foreign trash into growth opportunity. Here's one here. Share your ideas about recycling on our Facebook group. Your lifestyle is making Blue Box recycling unsustainable. Okay? Your lifestyle is making Blue Box recycling unsustainable. Your lifestyle. Who's the problem? You're the problem. And how are we going to fix the problem? We're going to get in your pocket deeper. That's how we're going to fix the problem. So here's another one. The Saskatoon Council votes to remove plastic bags from recycling program. And recyclables could end up at the dump if they're not cleaned up. Now, you could take all of these plastics, and if you took a bale of plastic and you merely heated the thing up, I mean, if you take a plastic bottle and put some heat to it, it shrivels up into a little drop of plastic. But we don't recycle anything because we don't apparently have the technology to do so. China does, and some very poor Asian countries do, but apparently we don't. So this is another bullshit story. A couple more little headlines here on this. Recycling crisis hits Quebec as China rejects waste import. Winnipeg's recycling firm needs $1.5 million more to meet China's new recycling rules. And Halifax sending 300 tons of recyclable plastic to out-of-province dump. Why China's recycling ban matters to Calgary. Now, I'm going to look at this one because we have a Muslim mayor in Calgary, and Calgary is a freaking mess. Calgary joins other cities in searching for new destinations to ship recyclables. A recycling ban by the Chinese government has forced Calgary to search for someone else to buy its recyclables. Sharon Howland of Calgary Recycling and Waste Services said the city has stockpiled 5,000 tons of recycled waste since the ban went into effect in October. We had some empty storage sheds at some of our land in Southeast, so we took advantage of that, Howland told the Calgary Eye Opener. We are also using some shipping containers and some trailers as well, and a little bit of warehouse space. To give you an idea of what that 5,000 tons means for the whole program, The city's program generates about 60,000 tons of recyclables annually, she said. It's a small amount so far, but the situation is evolving, and we're monitoring and adjusting as we go. The ban came about as a result of a few bad actors, which included toxic materials in the recycling, Howland said. The situation with China and why they implemented the policies that they have is really a story of a few ruining it for the many. There's a few companies out there that don't sort the materials properly, so they send loads of with garbage mixed into Chinese mills, and that's where they put the barriers down to say, nope, we don't want this material anymore. We want good, clean recyclables to feed our manufacturing mills. The manufacturing mills we no longer have in this country. You can't blame them for in instituting the ban, she says, and so those few companies are ruining it for those of us who have been sorting our recyclables properly for decades. Prior to the ban, Calgary's third-party recycler, called the Cascade Delivery, sent all of the city's mixed paper products and half its mixed plastic products to China, which has long had what Holland describes as an insatiable appetite in order to feed its manufacturing sector. You know, the manufacturing sector we used to have. Secondary markets, the city has targeted to replace China include Thailand, Indonesia, and India. There's a lot of other Southeast Asian countries that are already are ready to jump in the market to fill this gap, she said. There are also domestic markets for recyclable, including Cascade Delivery, the city's third-party recycler. The city is also urging the provincial government to follow British Columbia's lead by implementing an extended producer responsibility program, where the manufacturers of packaging and products take financial and environmental responsibility for products all the way through the end of their life. Fees offset cost. As far as costs go, Howland said there were no numbers yet to measure the cost of storing unsold recycling, but added that our recycling program does pay for itself through utility fees as well as revenue generated from recyclables. So we do use that to offset any expenses for programs like this. David Bilderman, the executive director of Solid Waste Association of North America, said the responsibility for ensuring recyclables are properly disposed of requires a collective effort. Another word I really hate. Not effort, but collective. There's a role for the private sector and the public sector, but it does all start with the individual. That would be you. You are the enemy. We all need to be more mindful about what it is we're recycling and the condition of the thing we're putting in the recycling bin. Right. And then we have some more of this nonsense. Alberta municipalities explore options for limiting recyclable products. Green cart collection begins as Calgary aims to cut landfill waste in half. Fundy Region recycling fares well despite China's ban on plastics and paper. Halifax told it can dump fill and plastics in the landfill, but will burn them instead. You know, so all of this stuff that, you know, these do-gooders, these idiots, these lunatics, these cultists, these environmentalists here in the West think that they're doing all this good stuff. They aren't. Well, here's somebody I haven't seen for a while. I'm just waiting for this. It's a little slow. There it goes. We're all hooked up. And we got you, Christopher?
You do, Ron.
I guess we should start a recycling company, eh?
Well, you know what you're talking about. I mean, you're spot on, buddy. It goes so much deeper. There's so many levels to this. It's ridiculous.
I know. It's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of bullshit.
You know, I mentioned on your show, I think on a couple of occasions, how it works here. But they changed up just recycling everything to you've got paper week and plastic week. And you've got to constantly, I mean, this is part of just keeping you busy. I know it is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You know,
well, it's so keeping you in the child position.
Yeah.
Right? The authority says, okay, now we're going to do this, so you have to do it. And people go, well, I guess it's good for the environment. No, it's not good for the environment.
Which week is it? Is this paper week or plastic week? I forget.
Are they doing that in Kingston now? They've split paper week and plastic week?
Oh, they did it like 5 years ago.
Oh, really? We don't have that here yet.
And when I called them, that's what I'm saying. Why? When I called them and asked them why, what my response was, because they're introducing the green bins. And I went, oh, okay, well, maybe that makes sense. Then I come to find out, when I see the garbage truck go by, he collects your garbage and he takes your green bin and dumps it on the other side of the truck. So it has nothing to do with recycling with the company that has been hired to take our recycling. So it's, that doesn't fly.
No, but see, you ask questions, right? Most people don't. And therein lies the problem.
They didn't solve anything. They told me a lie. And, I don't know what they'd say if I called them. I should call them now and find out what they would say, what the reasoning is. Not enough sorters because they're trying to they're losing money because China's no longer taking our plastic. So we had to fire some sorters. So therefore, but
it's just
5 or 6 years anyway.
Well, if we're supposedly a country, and nobody lives here really, and we can't even recycle our own cardboard. I mean, we're not recycling it; we're shipping it. Well, there's a big difference between recycling and shipping it. You gotta recycle your cardboard. Well, you're not recycling it; you're collecting it. And then you're shipping it overseas. That's not recycling. It's, collecting and shipping. It had nothing to do with recycling. We don't recycle anything. And there's nobody living here. If we can't even deal with cardboard here in Canada without everybody having a heart attack over it, well, China's not going to take our cardboard or our plastic. What are we going to do? I don't know. What do we do? I mean,
yeah, how did we become a first world nation?
I know. Didn't we engineer the railroads and all our steel manufacturing plants and all the car plants and the canals and all that stuff? But now we've gone so far the wrong way, we can't figure out how to deal with a chunk of cardboard. I mean, that's just how far backwards we've gone. And they're not done with us yet by a long shot. I mean, if we're this stupid, we can't deal with cardboard, then I suppose the only option for us running our country is to sell off all of our utilities and sell off all our water treatment plants and all of our water plants, sewage plants, to somebody that's capable of doing it. Like maybe the guy recycling cardboard in China, right? I mean, what they've said is that, and I don't know why Canadians don't get mad about this, because what they're saying is that you people in the West are completely inept. You can't do nothing. You've lost your ability to do anything. Because if you can't get rid of a plastic bottle and you can't get rid of a piece of cardboard, then you're worse than a little child. And we got to get by all that crap, man. Like somehow. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, our recycle guy goes by here, and he. I never get the recycle bin out and get it back empty. Right? There's always something that I put in the recycle bin that apparently sets them off.
It's got a C on it or a D, and they only accept.
Yeah. I mean, who the hell's got time to? You know, well, that's not the right plastic. What do you mean it's plastic? Yeah, but they don't take that kind of plastic. How the hell am I supposed to know that? What am I supposed to do with it?
Supposed to read that
put
label.
That plastic in the regular garbage. Oh, yeah, because the garbage bag's plastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So wait a minute. When the garbage truck comes by and picks up all the garbage in town, all the garbage in those garbage cans are encased in plastic. But we can't put plastic we can't put plastic in the landfill. We have to ship it to China. But all the garbage is in plastic garbage bags, ends up where? In the landfill. Like, are we completely stupid?
That's the way you say it. It's on so many levels that people only understood. I'm guilty in the sense that I have a plastic garbage bin, hard plastic, which has lasted me probably 8 years now. Pretty tough plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to take that and pick it up and dump it in the back of their truck and then put it back down and I reuse it. That's recycling in my opinion. But then my neighbors will have plastic bags and I'm going, why would you do that? If you're trying to do the right, and then they got their recycling bin beside their plastic bag. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean our garbage cans are plastic, but we bundle up we put our garbage in plastic bags and then put them in the plastic can and then we take it out to the road and when the garbage truck goes by, a miracle happens and the plastic bags in the plastic can seem to have disappeared, but I still got the plastic cans. And then I fill them up again with plastic and then they take that plastic, but not my can.
Well, I'm one layer less than you, though, because I just dump everything in my plastic garbage can.
We're not allowed to do that here.
Oh, really?
No.
Holy.
We have to put it in plastic bags.
You ask.
And then we have to buy a bag tag for $2.50 per bag.
Yeah, I love that one.
You know. So garbage becomes a revenue source, you know, which is absolutely ridiculous because we don't have much revenue in this country. I mean, you're old enough to remember, you know, we manufactured damn near everything we needed. You know, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, you saw very, very, very little from Japan or China. I mean, people would look at it, oh, that's that Chinese shit, or that's that Japanese crap.
That's
right?
True. Yep.
And now, if you go into a hardware store, or you go into any appliance store, you go anywhere, try and find something that's manufactured here. It doesn't.
Go by a DeWalt.
What?
Go buy a DeWalt.
Well, that's from China.
Exactly.
You know, and I was so impressed because when I went down to work in Florida, it was DeWalt land. I mean, these yellow orange freaking tools were everywhere. And I said, "Oh, this is the famous DeWalt tools, eh?" And they were. What do you mean were? Well, we used to make them here. And what? Well, we don't make them here anymore. Why not? Well, they're all made in China. And then the question is, why? Why are they made in China? You know, if you know, we need to, you know, my attitude is we need to put the tariffs back on. But my other attitude is, you know, we're not buying nothing from there. Right? If we can't make a power tool in North America, we can't make a washing machine in North America, then we've really become pathetic. And we shouldn't be buying the shit from overseas. Why would we be buying all this stuff from overseas when we make it ourselves? Or we used to make it ourselves. You know, but I don't know if you remember that, because they came out in the news when they were pulling all of our manufacturers out saying we didn't need this, you know, this physical labor, dirty work anymore, because it was a new era. It's going to be the computer era, and they're going to take all the factory workers and retrain them, and they'll work less and make more money sitting behind a computer. Now, they no sooner did that, and the people didn't want the manufacturing to go, but they didn't know how to stand up to it and say, no, you're not moving our stuff off overseas. So they just kind of laid down because they're still in the childlike state, and, oh, well, I guess they'll retrain us to do this other thing. And shortly after they moved to that, you know, the new system, then most of that got moved to India and other places. So we really are getting screwed here, you know. The number of people who are working in the actual tech field is tiny, very tiny. And all we get left with is a bureaucracy telling you that you have to have your grass this long and your door's got to be that color and you can't put plastic out because it's paper day and all this kind of horse shit. This is what people work at now.
Well, that's what we need to push back. But, you know, it's not going to happen anytime soon. But
it's going to happen.
You know, if I wanted to, and I think I feel I could, make a plant, set up a plant, you know, get some investors, set up a plant, and say, okay, you know what, we'll take all your recycling.
Yeah.
We'll refine it.
Yeah.
And then you can open up some companies beside us and build products out of what we refine back in, you know. But, you know, with the rules, regulations, and da-da-da.
Well, this is what has to change.
Yep. And that's it's done by design. I mean,
I know.
They make it so complicated.
It's a big plan.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And, yeah. The agenda.
Yeah. So we still got snow in our yard here. Eh? This is amazing.
I heard.
Absolutely amazing.
I've got a little bit in the backyard where, like fence is, where the sun barely hits.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're pretty much cleared up here. But I'm lower than you. I'm lower south.
But anyways, I think we're going to hear music pretty good. Good to hear your voice, my friend. I've been busy, man. I'm trying to get this house. I got problems with this house that I'm renting out. I got to, trying to get a few things fixed up and just so much shit going on right now. It's ridiculous. So hopefully I can get through this soon and get on with things, because I'm starting another construction company, damn it.
Enersave Building Solutions.
Well, you know, I got, I was talking to an electrician today, and I said, I'm kind of nervous because I got to start another construction company. I don't know where to get guys. And he says, good luck with that one, right? Trying to find somebody that actually wants to work, right?
I get about 1 out of 10.
Yeah, it's bad, man. So, anyways, I hear music, so it's really good to hear your voice, Christopher. And what day is this? Thursday. I guess we'll be back Sunday at noon till 2 o'clock. Take care, everybody, because we are out of here because we're out of time.
They don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for their mom.